the final presentation of education technology. So going to work out with mathematics, a topic of trigonometry, which is of term 1 from 5. So it covers some topics of trigonometric ratios, trigonometric identities. We have the unity circle, and then the inverse trig functions. So in trigonometry, we have these subtopics, and they cover up different content, as we have the subtopic of trigonometric ratios. So this video, it has the major trigonometric ratios. It has those three trigonometric ratios, the basic ones. So the reason as to why I used this, because under this video, it elaborates some of the angles and how these different angles can be got. Then we have the unity circle concept map showing the trigonometric ratios. So with trigonometric ratios, they follow different procedures. So we have the basic angles, where we have the cosine, sine, and the tangent. So as a reason as to why we have this concept map, when finding these angles, we follow, let's say we have double angle, so we can also use the Pythagorean theorem. So these are the different procedures that can be used to find the angles of the trigonometric ratios. Then we have the picture. So this shows how these sides are indicated. So we have P, then H, B. So they are indicated as perpendicular, P, B with the base, and H as the hypotenuse. So these are the formulas for finding the angles of the other sides of the trigonometric ratio, because in this we can find the angles and then we can also find the sides. Then we have the reality of the trigonometric ratios, so they can be used in real life. We have a kid standing facing that tree. So the reason as to why I use this, because these trigonometric ratios are not only theoretical, but they are also practical, because when explaining to the kids, they need to be shown the real life, how these things are applicable. Then we have the infographics. It has the different formulas for finding the angles of the trigonometric ratios. So as we saw in the concept map, it was giving a clear insight of each and every part. So the infographics is showing us the abbreviation of how we can find and memorize this. We have SOHCAHTOA, which is sine, which is equaling to opposite over hypotenuse, cos, which is equaling to adjacent over hypotenuse, then tan, which is equaling to opposite over adjacent. Then we have these trigonometric ratios also have graphs. So it is very mindful to think of each and everything to cover up. So this is, when you're having trigonometric ratios, it is important to also have the graphs, because they are part of this, and they have a clear view, and they can mean something very, very, very much important. Then subtopic 2, which is the trigonometric identity. So in this video, it has, or it elaborates on how we can find or prove the different identities. Then this concept map has the different identities, the half, angles, we have the radians. So it shows the steps on how we can solve the trigonometric identities. Then we have the mind map. This has all the parts that can be used to have the trigonometric identities, as we had where we have the half angles, triangle identities, common formulas. So these can be used to work upon the identities. Then we have the picture of the trigonometric identities where we are having the derivatives. We have the sine, cos, and the tangent, and even some other. Because when you're having this trigonometric identities, they also have derivatives, and this is a very crucial part in this topic. Whereas we can also have integration on the other side. Then we have the chart showing the identities. So these are some of the identities where they are also basic and they are very important to have when dealing with these identities. Then we have the subtopic 3, which is the unity circle. It elaborates the different quadrants where we have all these angles where are formed. So this video shows how these angles can be formed in the different quadrants. Then this picture is showing the angles. So these angles rotate from 0 to 360 degrees. Then we can also have the pies, which can be in form of radians. So that is the reason as to why I use this picture, because we have the angles in these different quadrants. So each angle or each quadrant has different angles. Then we have the chart of the unit circle. It is having these quadrants. So the first quadrant, it is having all the angles, all the ratios are positive. Then here sine is positive in the second. Quadrant 3, the tangent is positive, and then quadrant 4, the cosine is positive. So the reason as to why I use this, because it is very important to know how these quadrants can be used, and angles how can be got, because here, as we have here, it is positive, all of them. Here it is the sign positive, then the others are negative. Then here tangent is positive, the others are negative. Cosine positive, the others are negative. Then we have the diagram showing the radians. So it is very important that when I have degrees, I can also have radians. So this picture shows that the unity circle is this time around in radians, because we can change angles to radians, and then they can also be changed to degrees. So that is very important. Subtopic 4, we have the inverse trig functions. The inverse trig functions, this video shows the inverse trig functions of the basic ratios, where we have the sine, cosine, and the tangent. So where we have sine inverse, then we have cos inverse, and then the tangent inverse. So it is very important to know that when I'm dealing with trigonometry, this has to be covered, and we have to look at this in a very big detail. Then we have the concept map showing the inverse trig functions. So these can be got in different ways. It shows some graphs of the inverse trig functions, because as we saw, the ratios have graphs, and then the inverse trig functions also have graphs in this case. So that is very important. Then we have the graphs of the inverse trig function, where we have sine, cosine, and tangent inverse. So these graphs are very vital. So they show how the the inverse are got. And then we also had how we can have the sine, cosine, and the tangent when they are in their natural form, but these ones are inverse functions. Then we have the picture of the inverse trigonometric derivatives. So if I'm having the inverse derivatives. So these are the inverse derivatives because when I have the basic ratios where we saw that they have derivatives, even the sine or the inverses have the derivatives. So in this case, this picture gives a clear view and gives all the details of the inverse functions. So I think that is giving a clear view on how these visual aids can be helpful and they can be used in the normal classes so that the learners can pick out and get the content much better. Thank you.